not started the auction yet, but they're all lined up through there. Again, the action's yet to start. The sheep all in the pens. Buyers, the vendor, whoever look money.
All right. I thought it's not a place could take photographs of people's faces, really.
We're going out. Hey?
So with campervan sales, you actually never know what you're going to get, do you? When you get a notification that there's a new video, you don't know whether we're going to you don't know whether we're going to be up a mountain, by a river, cooking, just away in the van doing something random, or just doing something random anyway, like going to an auction for cattle. Keith, you didn't buy anything?
No, I'd have gone into the sheep
Why
side.
didn't we?
They hadn't started.
Oh, right. I might have to do that later then.
So now we're just going to have a wander, aren't we?
Yeah.
Around Bakewell, which we've filmed before, so.
But one thing I will say about the cattle auction, or the cattle market, you need to learn another language, don't you?
Yes.
So we're just walking into Bakewell now, and this is the main bridge from one of the main car parks, and it's full of love locks.
Love locks, he said.
Yeah.
And they've had to I don't know whether they've started, but they threatened to take all these locks off, aren't
They
they?
did, because they said the weight of them is
It's making
coming
it
too much for the bridge, and they're worried about the whether it's
safety.
gonna actually damage the bridge and the structure. But I think it's the locals are kicking off because they think it's actually part of the tourist attraction now. So I think a lot of the locals aren't wanting them removed. But I suppose there's two sides to it, and a lot of locals do. It's Monday, and Monday in Bakewell is market day, and it's always a good market. It spreads right round. It's the main car park, and then there's usually some stalls in one of the smaller car parks as well. First we're going to go and grab a nibble, and then we'll have a look around the market some more. Because you've always got to have a bit of a nibble, haven't you? Always nice to have a nibble. So where we were going to go has changed hands, and we're not going there because they wanted to charge 12 quid for a breakfast. So wandering around Bakewell, they've got a swimming pool. This is always a nice little courtyard, nice cafe.
It's stuck in now. Rung me at 9:15 and said he got to go to the
But it's looking a bit closed.
not got the money to go away with tomorrow.
It's a shame.
We're not doing well here. Closed on a Monday, market day. Surprising. There's some nice little alleyways to wander around. What's that one? So, Bakewell, Keith.
Yeah.
Famous for?
Bakewell puddings. Bakewell tarts. Bakewell puddings.
This is where they originated.
Allegedly.
Allegedly? Well, they did. No alleged about it. So in the square here you've got the Bakewell Pudding Factory, a pudding parlour and shop. You say loads of little squares around.
But you can.
Places have got little eateries and coffee shops, whatever. We did stop for one, but it was a basic one, so it wasn't worth filming that. Just had a coffee and a bacon bap. Let's head back to the market. It's one of those markets where you can get everything you don't need and more. This one's always an interesting stall to look around, isn't it?
We're in the wrong market.
Manchester Tarts.
Everything I wear is all from me.
Bakewell always has a really good Christmas market. If you're ever in Derbyshire and you're looking for a good Christmas market, this is one to come to. Twice, if not 3 times the size of this.
Try them on, give me a shout if you want to slide.
And then back to the shops, you've got cheese and wine emporiums, a couple of chippies, Co-op, and then we'll have a wander around the main street. A little cheese shop. And then over there is the other car park with some more market stalls. So, as with any market, lots of clothes stalls, bedding, all the usual that you see at markets in the UK. Well, I say when you see markets. Sometimes these days, markets can be just a couple of stalls, because in a lot of places they just seem to have died a death. That'll be Keith ringing me to say, where are you? So we're just talking to a chap who is selling plants on one of the plant stalls here, and he's saying the temperature in his greenhouse yesterday, it hit 52 degrees. It was that hot. Here's Brockleby's pies. We have a little story about Brockleby pies, don't we, Keith?
We do. We were given a, was it wedding or Christmas?
I think it was a wedding present.
Pie making experience.
Pork pie making experience.
Pork pie making experience.
So that was an evening thing, wasn't it? It was really good.
Yeah.
Really interesting. But did you approve of the pastry? Because Keith is somewhat of an expert when it comes to pastry.
Oh, hot crust pastry I am, yes.
And did you approve of their method?
It was all right.
Was it not up to your standard?
Not quite, but it was all right. And I also tried to get a job there, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
It was a bit far to travel, to be fair.
But as with any market, there's still some empty stalls. Whether people haven't bothered coming today because it's so hot and the temperature was forecast to hit 40 today. And we're just not used to it in this country. Certainly not good for the trio. I think we could do with a really heavy tog duvet at the moment. Not. So we're now on to the other main street. A lot of outdoor shops on this part, or the start of the outdoor shops on this part. We've got a Peak District National Park Visitor Centre.
Go ahead.
This is Chatsworth House. We're not actually far from Chatsworth House. That'll be a video, I'm sure, for another time. So there's a lot in Bakewell. It's quite compact to walk around, really, but there's a lot to see. And that's where we were before. And then this is the main street, as I say. So here, you've got the old original Bakewell pudding shop. And this building is where the pudding was first discovered. It was discovered because it was made by accident. Just another few steps and we're back at the market again. So that's it for a quick wander around Bakewell. So you've seen the cattle auction, you've seen Bakewell, more alleyways that you can walk up, more coffee shops, cafes. As with any town these days, a lot of the empty units are now charity shops, which in one way is good, I suppose, because at least the units are occupied. But in another way, it's a sad state of affairs when there are independent shops because of the cost of business rates and rents, which puts a lot of people off or forces people out of business. And here we are back at the market. So we're going to head back over the bridge now Back to the landy. I don't know whether that's going to be it for this video or whether there will be anything extra later on. I'm sure you'll see in just a minute. It's such a hot day that we're struggling a bit, not for us, but the dogs. We couldn't leave them in the caravan for a morning or an afternoon because it's just too hot in there, even with all the windows open and the curtains shut. So that wouldn't have been fair on them. We can't leave them in the Land Rover because it's far too hot. Really, it's too hot for them to be walking. So we're doing lots of stops where we can find shade so they can stay in the shade. It means we're having to drink more tea and coffee and cold drinks. So at the moment we've stopped again. We've left Bakewell. We've come to another of our favourite places for a brew that you've seen in other videos before, Grindleford Station. So we're not going into too much detail about this one. It's in an old video of ours. As we've said before, it's the main railway line between Sheffield and Manchester. So Keith's just taking the trio for a quick walk, let him get a bit of fresh air again. And then we'll get into the cafe, or outside the cafe into a bit of shade. I think it's a cold drink time rather than tea or coffee, to be honest. Typically British, we whinge about the weather, whatever it's doing. If it's raining, we whinge. If it's cold, we whinge. If it's hot, we whinge. And a typical Brit thing again, a main topic of conversation, the weather.